I still remember the sound of his voice. Not loud, not crying, just a whisper, thin and trembling, like the wind was afraid to carry it any farther. Mister, Mama can't walk. I had been riding that road for years, long enough to know its moods, long enough to know that nothing good ever waited for you at dusk, unless you were heading home. The sun was sinking low, turning the dirt road copper and gold, and I was already thinking about the quiet of my cabin, the fire, the empty chair, the silence I'd learned to live with. Then I saw him. A small boy stood in the middle of the road, boots too big, shoulders too narrow for the weight he was carrying. He didn't wave his arms, didn't shout. He just stood there, eyes locked on me like I was the last thing standing between him and something terrible. I swung down from my horse before I even thought about it. Dust rose around my boots as I knelt in front of him, slow and careful. You learn that with children and with fear. Move too fast, and it runs. What's your name, son? I asked. He swallowed. Caleb. And your mama? He pointed past me, toward the ditch where the light barely reached. That's when I saw her. She was sitting against a broken fence post, one leg stretched out stiff and wrong, the other tucked beneath her skirt. Her hands were dirty, her hair loose, strands stuck to her forehead with sweat. I saw the blood before I saw her face, dark against her ankle, already drying in the cool air. But it was her eyes that stopped me. She wasn't crying. She wasn't asking for help. She was watching me the way someone watches a storm, ready to endure, not expecting mercy. I'm fine, she said when I got closer. My son exaggerates. Her voice was steady, but her jaw was clenched so tight I could almost hear her teeth grinding. I glanced at the sky. Night was coming fast, and cold with it. How long you been sitting here? I asked. She hesitated. That told me enough. I shrugged down my coat and wrapped it around Caleb's shoulders. He flinched at first, then melted into it like he hadn't been warm in a while. That hurt more than I expected. My cabin's close, I said. You can rest there. Her eyes sharpened. We don't want charity. I met her gaze. Neither do I. That seemed to confuse her. Caleb tugged at her sleeve. Mama? She closed her eyes for a long moment. When she opened them again, something had shifted. Resignation, maybe, or trust. Sometimes they look the same at first. All right, she said quietly. Just until morning. I didn't ask questions. Didn't make promises I couldn't keep. When I lifted her, she gasped, not loud, but enough. Her hand gripped my shirt instinctively, fingers curling into the fabric like she was afraid she'd fall through me if she let go. I adjusted my hold immediately, careful not to jar her ankle. It's okay, I murmured, more for her than for me. I've got you. She went still then. Her breath slowed. She smelled like dust and cold and something faintly sweet. Soap, maybe from another life. Caleb walked beside us, his small hand brushing my leg every few steps, like he needed to remind himself I was real. The cabin lantern was already lit when we reached it, casting a soft glow against the trees. I don't remember lighting it. Some habits outlast loneliness. Inside, the fire came alive easily, like it had been waiting. I set her down on the bed near the hearth, kneeling to look at her ankle. It was bad, but not hopeless. You're lucky, I said. It's not broken. She exhaled shakily, the first real crack in her strength. I didn't feel lucky. I cleaned the wound slowly. Every time she flinched, my hand stilled. I'm sorry, I said. For what? For the pain. She studied my face, like she was trying to decide if I meant it. Caleb wandered the cabin, touching everything gently. You live here all alone? Yes. Doesn't it get quiet? I paused. It does. What do you do then? I thought of long nights, of memories that came uninvited. I listen, I said. He nodded, satisfied. We ate by the fire. Simple food, nothing special. She ate carefully, like someone used to saving. I pretended not to notice. My name's Anna, she said finally. And thank you. I nodded. Goodbye. Later, when Caleb slept curled against her side, Anna stared into the fire. My husband died 2 winters ago, she said softly. Since then, everything feels temporary. I knew that feeling, knew it in my bones. My wife passed in the spring, I said. Cabin's been quiet ever since. Silence settled between us. Not awkward, heavy but shared. That night, I didn't sleep much. I lay in the chair, listening to the sound of two other people breathing in my home. The fire crackled low. Shadows danced on the walls. For the first time in years, the quiet didn't feel empty. It felt like it was holding something. And I didn't yet know it, but that road, that whisper, that boy's trembling voice, it had already changed everything. The morning light came soft through the cabin window, casting pale gold stripes across the wooden floor. For a moment, I wasn't sure where I was, until I heard the gentle rhythm of my son's breathing beside me. Caleb's small chest rose and fell steadily, pressed close to his mother's side. Anna was still asleep, her face peaceful for the first time since I'd found them on the road. I sat very still in the chair, afraid to break the quiet magic of that morning. The fire had burned low during the night, but the ashes still held a faint heat. The cabin felt different, alive, somehow, as if the walls had remembered the sound of laughter and were slowly waking up from a long sleep. Caleb stirred and blinked open his eyes. He looked around, then smiled when he saw me sitting there. "Morning, Eli," he said, his voice still thick with sleep. "Morning, partner." I replied, the nickname slipping out before I could stop it. He grinned, rubbing his eyes. I stood and stretched, feeling the stiffness of my shoulders, years of riding and hard work settling in like an old friend. I went to the small window and peeked outside. The frost was just melting, turning the earth soft and smelling like promise. The woods beyond the cabin were waking up too, birds calling low and slow. "Come on, Caleb," I said. "Let's start your lessons." He jumped up, energized already, and followed me outside. Anna stirred but didn't wake, her breathing even and calm. I found a rusted tin cup near the porch and set it down on a stump. Caleb's eyes lit up when I handed him a handful of smooth stones from the ground. "Try to toss them in the cup," I said. "It's trickier than it looks." He bent his knees, concentrated, and flung a pebble. It clinked off the rim. "Not bad," I teased. "Watch this." He threw another. This one bounced on the edge before dropping just inside. His smile was wide and pure. It hit me then, how much he'd missed the simple joy, how much he needed it. When we went back inside, the cabin felt warmer, lighter. Anna was sitting up now, wrapped in an old blanket, eyes still a little puffy from sleep. "Good morning," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. She nodded, managing a tired smile. "Morning." The first few days moved slowly, like the soft drip of water, wearing down stone. Anna stayed mostly quiet, but I could see her watching, measuring me, testing the walls of this new, fragile life. I did what I could, simple tasks around the cabin, fixing what needed fixing, chopping with the fire, keeping the water fresh. Caleb followed close, his questions constant and wide-eyed. "Do you have any pets?" he asked one afternoon. "Used to," I said, my voice catching. "Why not anymore?" I looked away, the memory sharp and sudden. "My dog died last winter," I said simply. He nodded, accepting the answer without needing more. One evening, after the fire had burned low and the sky was velvet black outside, Anna finally spoke. "I was afraid," she said softly, "that someone would come along and make it worse." I met her eyes, understanding the weight behind her words. Sometimes the world a hard place, but not everyone's out to hurt you. Her lips twitched into a ghost of a smile. We sat there, silent, the fire crackling between us, each of us wrapped in our own ghosts. Over the next weeks, the cabin slowly started to breathe again. Anna helped with cooking and cleaning. Caleb laughed more, his energy returning like spring. Sometimes when I caught Anna watching me, her expression was soft, as if the walls around her were cracking just a little. One night, she surprised me. We were sitting by the fire, Caleb asleep upstairs, the quiet pressing in. She reached for my hand. Just a simple touch, tentative and shy. My heart stumbled. I didn't pull away. She looked up, searching my face, and I saw it. The fragile hope that maybe, just maybe, This place could be home for her again. That night, as the fire flickered low, I realized something I hadn't allowed myself to hope for in a long time. Maybe I wasn't alone anymore. The morning after the first snow, the cabin felt like a small island in a vast, frozen world. The pine trees stood tall and silent, their branches heavy with white, and the frost on the ground glittered in the pale light like tiny diamonds. I watched Anna and Caleb through a frosted window, their breath puffing out in little clouds as they played near the porch. The way Caleb laughed, carefree and bright, filled the room in a way I hadn't felt in years. I kept my coat tight around me and stepped outside, the cold biting at my cheeks, but inside, a slow warmth was spreading. I cleared a spot near the firewood pile and watched Caleb throw snowballs with wild abandon, and Anna laughed, her voice clear and free. I caught myself smiling, something I didn't expect anymore. Inside, the cabin was warm, smelling of pine and stew. Anna had gotten stronger over the past weeks. Her ankle was healing, and the tight lines around her eyes had softened, revealing the woman I'd seen that first night. Proud, cautious, but alive. That morning, I found her at the table, tracing patterns in the worn wood with her finger, eyes distant. "You're quiet," I said, sitting across from her. She looked up and smiled gently. "I've been thinking." I waited. "About what comes next?" I nodded slowly, feeling the weight of that question settling between us. "Caleb needs a home," she said. "A place where he's safe, where he belongs." She looked tired, but there was determination in her voice, the kind that refuses to let fear win. "I want to believe that place could be here," she added softly, meeting my gaze. For a moment, I didn't know what to say. The silence stretched, but it wasn't uncomfortable. It was full of possibilities and fragile hopes. "You don't have to decide today," I said finally, "but you should know I'm here for both of you." Her eyes glistened, and I saw something raw and beautiful in that glance, a flicker of trust, a quiet promise. Days passed like gentle tides. We settled into a rhythm, me chopping wood, Anna tending the fire, and Caleb, who seemed to grow stronger by the hour. One evening, I found Anna sitting on the porch steps, staring up at the stars. I sat beside her, close enough to feel the warmth radiating from her. "I'm scared," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper, "of trusting again, of losing everything." I put my arm around her shoulders, holding her steady. "Me too," I said honestly. "But sometimes you have to risk a little pain to find something real." She leaned into me, and the cold night felt a little less sharp. When Caleb woke in the middle of the night, frightened by a bad dream, I was there, holding him close, whispering stories of brave horses and safe places. Watching Anna's exhaustion melt into peaceful sleep beside the fire, I realized that the home I thought I'd lost was right here, in these moments of quiet, shared healing. Weeks later, when her ankle was strong enough to walk without pain, Anna stood by the door, a bag slung over her shoulder. Caleb clung to my leg, looking up with those big eyes full of hope and hesitation. "Will you come with us?" he asked, voice small but determined. I knelt down, my heart heavy with the weight of goodbye. "This is your road, kid," I said softly. Anna stepped closer, her hand brushing mine. "If we go," she whispered. "Do you want to come?" I met her gaze and smiled, the answer clear. "I do." The snow had stopped falling, and the world outside was quiet and still. But inside, something new was beginning. A family, stitched together by kindness, healing, and a love that had been waiting patiently all along. And as we walked out the door, leaving the cabin and the past behind, I knew we were stepping into a future we could build, one step at a time. The road behind us was fading fast in the morning light, dust swirling like memories around our feet. For a long time, I thought home was a place you lost, a ghost you could never catch again. But standing there with Anna and Caleb, I realized something simple and true. Home isn't just walls or land. It's the hands that hold you when you're falling, the quiet moments that build trust, the promises made without words. We didn't have much when we started, just a broken fence, a cold night, and a whispered plea. "Mama can't walk." That small sentence changed everything. I carried them that night, but what I didn't know then was how much they'd carry me in return. Anna had lived through pain and loss. Her eyes held storms I'd only glimpsed in mirrors. Yet, in her quiet strength, I found hope I thought was gone. Caleb, with his wide eyes and fierce heart, was the bridge between two broken worlds. Watching him laugh again felt like sunlight after a long winter. Our days together weren't perfect. There were moments of doubt, fear, and old wounds that throbbed just beneath the surface. But it was also healing, soft and slow, like the dawn breaking over the hills. I watched Anna learn to trust again, not just in me, but in herself. She stopped carrying the weight of the world alone, and I stopped hiding behind silence and shadows. One night, as we sat by the fire, Anna reached out, her fingers tracing the lines on my weathered hand. "Thank you," she whispered. I shook my head. "No," I said. "Thank you," because she had saved me. Too. We built a life from quiet moments. The shared meals, the soft laughter, the stories told in whispers while the world slept. When Caleb took his first steps without hesitation, we all felt it. The promise of tomorrow, fragile but fierce. I learned that love doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's a whisper, a gentle holding on, a carrying when the legs fail. And that night on the road, when a small boy whispered, "Mama can't walk," the cowboy who lifted them both wasn't just carrying bodies. He was carrying hope for a family, for healing, for home. Because home is where we choose to stay. And this time, I'm not letting go.